Howdy folks, I'm Pernicious Phlox, persistently pardoning pillaging pirates.
I'm Amber.
And here are more pillaging pirates for us to pardon, because of course we are. You know why? Because Pernicious Phlox is actually the one who hired the privateers. That's why they're pardoning them. Let's get started. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Expecting My Wife to Apologize to My Daughter? I have a 12-year-old daughter, Claire. I met my wife, Kim, 4 years ago and married her 2 years ago. We had a daughter 5 months ago. Claire is adjusting very well. There was never any issue surrounding the baby or jealousy or anything like that. If anything, Claire tries to help too much. So the issues really started when Kim came home after giving birth, and they haven't stopped. Despite both me and Kim talking to Claire several times, it basically goes in one ear and out the other. So Claire has made it a habit to sprint to the baby whenever she starts to cry and loudly shriek things like, "What are you doing? Why are you crying?" Doesn't matter what time of the day or night it is, when shrieking she also makes a point to stand basically on top of you. So it's directly in your ear and you're unable to move. Mix that with the baby crying and your flight or flight is bound to kick in. So I get it completely. And as I've said, I continually have been on top of it and have been redirecting Claire and told her she needs to stop doing that. Her shrieking is not helpful like she thinks it is. However, she says, well, it got the baby to stop crying, didn't it? And it's true, the baby will stop crying. Sometimes she even enjoys it and starts giggling, but it's ear piercing. Well, for the past 4 days, the baby has had a fever. She has a viral infection. She's cranky, and even putting her down turns into a full-on hysterical scream. My wife is touched out, so I understand why she felt the need to lose her temper on Claire last night, but I'm still not okay with it. Basically, the baby started screaming, my wife is trying to calm her down, and here comes Claire. She sprints to my wife's side, and in the process, on accident, socks on hardwood floor, she knocks my wife's dinner plate onto the floor and shatters it. She then says, oops, and she starts to shriek at the baby. My wife, through gritted teeth, says, you have 2 seconds to back up. Claire doesn't move. She keeps shrieking at the baby. The baby starts screaming louder. I tell Claire to back up. She looks at me and says she's trying to calm the baby. In this moment, my wife lost it. She screams at Claire to get away from her baby and leave her alone, and that she's not helping, and that she's made everything worse. Claire immediately starts crying and runs to her room. My wife goes to our room and starts angrily throwing stuff into a bag. I follow and ask what she's doing, and she says, getting away from your kid, and refuses to talk to me at all afterwards. She left with the baby, saying that she was going to a hotel until I taught my kids some respect. Her and the baby are fine. I know exactly where they are. She said that I'm welcome to come and visit, but Claire is not, because she needs a long break from her and her behaviors. Well, I went there this morning and told her that I fully expect her to apologize to Claire and that she really did a number on her. She said that she shouldn't have to apologize for anything considering that this is an ongoing issue and my daughter has been spoken to several times. Also saying, so you want me to apologize to your kid for making me go without dinner when I'm nursing because of her invasiveness? She is refusing to apologize. I told her that she's not coming back until she does. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think?
Yes, you're the jerk here, OP. Why have you not done anything about this? It sounds like you've just talked to your kid. That's not getting through. There need to be actual consequences for what she's doing. And why aren't you helping more with the baby? It sounds like the wife is constantly getting the daughter screaming in her ears, and OP is just standing there like, oh, don't do this, don't scream. Like, OP, I understand that, it was probably a little upsetting to your daughter to have the wife shout at her. And generally shouting at kids isn't good, but she was totally tapped out. She had repeatedly asked your daughter not to do this. She had even given her a warning to back off, and your daughter continued to do this.
I would be half tempted if I were the wife. Not that I'm saying this is good advice, to get one of those bull horns and then just whenever the kid starts screaming, pull it up to her and just overwhelm the sound with that at that point in time. Because, I don't know, fight fire with fire. I think, Claire has this idea that she can fight fire with fire by screaming at the baby. And I agree with you here, Amber, that at this point in time, Claire needs some kind of actionable punishment for what she's doing. She needs to be told, well, you're staying in your room grounded until you can figure out how to act around a baby, right?
Right, or you can't have your phone or other electronics, you can't see
Mm-hmm.
your friends, or any number of consequences that she could have. But it seems like Opie just expects his wife to keep putting up with this constant, even though he knows that she's tapped out.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know how much he's doing for help. I mean, it's hard to say because like I don't think he's getting into that kind of detail. But if he isn't helping out and he isn't pulling his weight, then he certainly needs to do that, and he needs to start pulling his weight and make sure that his wife isn't doing all of the child care responsibility here. I think that OP is wrong for expecting his wife to apologize. What I think really needs to happen is they all need to go to family counseling, family
Yeah.
therapy to talk about things here.
Yeah, and if he's not willing to actually start parenting his child, then it's probably best for the wife to walk
Yeah.
because she's not being respected in this household.
No. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Logical Difference 529 says, my favorite part of this whole thing is the wife is willingly leaving and says she's not coming back until he teaches his kid some respect, and he says, well, you're not coming back until you apologize. I'm sorry, sir, but you're not the one holding all the cards right now. And Mysterious Wasabi 103 says, honestly, to heck with OP and the high horse that he's riding on. Like, come on, dude. Your daughter is likely traumatizing your baby infant. Normally in this group, I'm thinking, do you even need to ask? How do you know that you're not the jerk? Basically, it's just so clear that they were the victim or whatever. But this time, it's reverse. OP, how do you not realize that you're the jerk here? You're the jerk, and it's not even close. The fact that he doesn't see this shows how selfish he is. Also, judging by how OP seems to have disappeared after not getting the response that he wanted, it really paints a picture of how indignant this jerk is. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, my boyfriend, a 25-year-old male, won't stop writing me, a 23-year-old female, Victorian love letters and is putting me off. How do I get him to stop? I hate the idea of sharing personal info online, so this is seriously a last resort. I want to emphasize that my boyfriend is completely normal in real life. He loves hiking, reading, very well-rounded, and humble. Early on in our relationship, we began to leave little letters outside of each other's doors. His were always incredibly cheesy, but I saw him so often in real life that it hardly mattered. Now he's traveling overseas, and the letters that I'm receiving are just atrocious. I hate the term, but ick doesn't even begin to describe how they make me feel. Imagine, oh, my righteous love, how I miss you so dear. You are a pleasure I have never otherwise had. You are ingrained into my heart. Please help me find a way to approach this with him in a way that won't hurt his feelings. We both love writing letters, but the way he writes them is just too much. I seriously prefer not to read them at this point. It's so incredibly cringe that I'm too embarrassed to ask my girlfriends for any advice. These are pages long and impossible to ignore. He's back in a year, and I absolutely cannot deal with the prospect of this being our communication. He is very sensitive. I couldn't think of anything worse than hurting him. But this is our one channel of communication right now. So I'm not hearing about him, his life. It's just pages upon pages of jargon. It's too cringe, and it's really off-putting when I don't see him like usual in real life. All right, folks, what do you think?
I mean, first of all, I think this is adorable, but I'm also not the one receiving these letters. So I don't think there's necessarily a way not to hurt him if he's very sensitive. But I think the key thing is to focus less on what he's writing in terms of all these elaborate things and more on the fact that you're missing what's going on in his life.
Yeah.
If it's just pages and pages of him waxing poetic, you could be like, hey, I really appreciate your letters, but I'd really like to know a little bit more about, what you're doing. I feel closer to you when I can actually, be part of your life.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's really what the core of this issue here is that OP isn't receiving actual communication, she feels like. It just kind of feels like empty, text type of thing, right? Where while it is sweet and nice, but it lacks any kind of real substance. So I think that just gently telling him that, like you said, please send me more substantive stuff. I find that it's really hard to feel connected to you when all you're doing is writing, these sonnets. I would like to know how your life is and what you're doing. And certainly, maybe he won't take it well, but that's kind of on him at that point in time, right? You should feel comfortable expressing to him that these are uncomfortable for you to receive.
Right. You can't always tiptoe around your partner. If you can't feel comfortable being open and honest with them, you need to start asking yourself why that is.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes things have to be said, even if they are a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so I don't think there's anything wrong with having a polite conversation where you just like, again, don't focus on the whole, oh, I don't like this style of writing. Just focus on, I want to know more of the personal details. And hopefully that will naturally lead into more of what you're looking for.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Weary Cloud says, okay, here's my attempt at what you could write and tell him. You write so beautifully, and I appreciate all the effort that you put into every letter that you send me. But now that we're spending so much time apart, I find myself also missing talking to you the way we talk every single day. Would you mind telling me more about what you've gotten up to in the past week? How has your day been? I would love to hear about your daily routine, place where he's at, make it me feel like I'm closer to you. And OP replies, thank you. Something super non-confrontational like yours is great. Feel stupid for not thinking of something like that. I don't think OP needs to feel stupid. It's just like sometimes you can't see the forest for the trees, right? All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Ghosting My Girlfriend After She Nearly Killed Us Both? So my girlfriend, a 20-year-old female, and I, a 22-year-old male, have been together for a little over 10 months now. We haven't really had any heated arguments or fights, except for the fact that she keeps tickling me randomly, despite the fact that I've repeatedly told her never to do it again, because I can act strangely to it, something from my childhood which I won't delve into. Now to get to the situation. This week I've had my car returned from a paint job and some major look changes, and I was really satisfied with the result. So I took a day off from work and I took my girlfriend on a short trip outside the city. We drove to a lake, ate some food, and relaxed for a couple of hours until it got pretty dark, and we decided to head back home to get some sleep as I had to go to work the next day and she had an exam. Well, on the way home, I started talking about how happy I felt with how the paint job turned out, and out of nowhere she starts tickling me. I pushed her hand away and told her to stop, and then she reached for my ribs with both hands, and it got me swerving off the road. Thankfully, nobody was hurt, although my car got some deep scratches, but that doesn't even matter anymore, as I've already slowed down after the first attempt to tickle me. I'll admit that I told her, "What is wrong with you?" as soon as we stepped out of the car, and she started crying. But I couldn't care less, as I felt as if my veins were about to pop. When we got home, I told her to pack her things and then go to her best friend's, but she threw a tantrum and begged me to forgive her for a little mistake. I didn't say a word. I simply stared in disgust and pointed to her luggage. After her friend picked her up, I tried to go to sleep, but my mind was racing, so I barely got any rest. This happened on Tuesday, and she's been blowing up my phone ever since, but I haven't answered any of the calls or texts, and I've just blocked her. This led to her friend coming to my house and telling me to at least hear my girlfriend out, but I've told her to just go away and leave me alone, which made her tell me that I'm even more in love with a car than I am with my girlfriend. So am I the jerk in this situation? Should I talk to my girlfriend? I already feel like I can't trust her after what happened, and that our relationship can't be fixed. And folks, there is an update to this one, but we're actually running out of time as it stands, so why don't we just talk about this letter now, and we'll look at the update tomorrow. Amber, what do you think of this letter?
Definitely not the jerk. And I mean, even if OP didn't have childhood trauma around being tickled, if you don't want to be tickled, your partner should respect that.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't like being tickled. That is totally reasonable boundary to set. To top that off, though, she decides to do this while OP is driving, and almost gets them, into a minor car accident that could have been much worse.
Yeah.
This isn't OP valuing a car over her. This is him valuing himself and his boundaries, and she's repeatedly violated his boundaries and doesn't even have the common sense not to tickle someone while they're driving. Even if someone has no aversion to tickling, while they're driving is not the time to do that.
Yeah, well, I think maybe the only place that OP went wrong was not explaining that more clearly and saying, this isn't about the car, this isn't about the paint job, this is about you not respecting my boundaries, this is about you nearly getting us killed. And putting it that way alleviates any doubt that this was about the car and kind of takes any air out of the argument of whole, like, oh, I should, I'm valuing my car over my girlfriend, right? OP needs to make this very clear that they are not like car obsessed or anything like that. That this is a matter of like life and death. Like the girlfriend, if she thinks that this is about the car, then she's missing the bigger picture. And I don't think that OP is doing her any favors by not expressly telling her that this is not about the car. This is about your behavior.
Yeah, and he didn't even ghost her here. He told her to get out, which I think was a perfectly appropriate reaction when someone so grossly violates your boundaries and almost gets you killed as a result.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't think that OP is in the wrong here, but hopefully tomorrow we'll find out more with the update. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has another jovial Bobstein. It's not a joke. It's just somebody. Where did the XYZ go on a vacation at this point in time?
Where did the wave go on her vacation?
The wave was in the ocean. I mean, unless it's waves of light. I don't know. Where?
To the shore.
To the shore. Okay. I mean, that's all right. Is that like the last one?
There's one more, I think. And then we're on to vacation predictions.
Oh, well, thank goodness, because these are not jokes. And I have Earl Grey. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Fantastic Friday, folks. I can't believe we made it to the end of the week. Congratulations! Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it on boundaries.
It's fine to set reasonable boundaries in a relationship and to expect that they be respected.
I think that is great advice. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye!